Stay in the magic of life. Stay in that the universe is on your side and there to help you, but you need to call on it. You've gotten to this point. You've gotten so far. You have to show up. This is the time to show up. Reminding yourself, there's this other way, and that is the way out.
From To Be Magnetic, this is the Expanded Podcast with your host, Lacey Phillips.
And your host, Jessica Gill.
As the leading destination for neural manifestation, we dispel the woo-woo in order to help you create real, tangible results based on neuroplasticity, psychology, epigenetics, and energetics. Our goal is to normalize the practice of manifestation and empower you to get into the driver's seat of your life in order to manifest the experiences, relationships, and things that most align with your authenticity. And by pressing play, the process begins.
Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Expanded. Jessica here. Have you ever been in the middle of an up level and you are also simultaneously being tested and triggered and facing obstacles and questioning your self-worth and if you can really hold what it is that you are calling in? Today, we are going to dive into all of that, how to navigate, how to move through it with process guest Alix Traeger. Alix has been on the process before. She talked about manifesting her clarity in her sexuality, manifesting her dream partner, manifesting a more aligned career, purchasing her condo. And Alix is back on now, years later, having manifested her dream house. She has since up-leveled and manifesting an engagement in her relationship and her very first cookbook deal that is launching this week. Her story is so powerful because she's literally in the middle of her cookbook launch, which is a huge deal, massive up level. It's been years in the making for her. And yet she is still experiencing the pangs and pains of the up level. What does it mean to be seen in this way? I'm finally getting to this echelon, but how can I hold it? How can I sit with it? How can I uncouple my self-worth from whatever transpires with this launch? I think you guys are going to find this one really refreshing and motivating to keep going, that even if it feels a little clunky or hard and you're on the cusp of an up level or you're in an up level, especially this is so true for people who are in up levels in one area in their life and another area feels very sticky or challenging or even in a rock bottom, this is going to be such the episode for you. Enjoy.
And now, a word from our partners.
Are you desiring to grow thicker, fuller hair? One of the questions I get asked the most is, what is my hair care routine? And every single time I point people to Act and Acre. Their product line has been incredible for supporting my hair growth journey because they address the problem with your hair growth at the root. When you get buildup from your scalp, whether it's from hard water, whether it's from other outside shampoos and conditioners that have a lot of lipids or processed ingredients in it, whether it's from hair care products, whether it's just dirt and debris and sweat and oil and sebum from your day-to-day, it is going to impede on how your hair can grow. So my key to healthy hair is a healthy scalp. If you are looking to really super speed your hair growth, I would recommend their stem cell scalp serum. It is formulated with Swiss apple stem cells, which are clinically proven to improve hair growth and boost hair thickness. This is something that you can put onto your hair after washing, massage it into the scalp, and let the nutrients soak up. If you are someone who has a dry scalp or has a lot of buildup on their scalp, I would recommend their scalp detox oil. That is something you'd put on your hair right before getting into the shower. Let it kind of break up everything that's building up on your scalp and also put nutrients on your scalp. And I also love their salicylic acid scalp exfoliator. I use that once a week and that helps with all of the oil buildup. My hair can get greasy so fast, so that allows it to really dry out and naturally volumize. Since using Act and Acre products, my hair has felt so much healthier, so much thicker, and is growing so much faster than it ever has before. And we have an incredible discount for you guys. You can get 25% off with code TBM25 by going to their website, actandacre.com. We also have it linked in the show notes. You can go on, they have a little quiz. You can figure out which products are best suited for your hair type and scalp type. I'm telling you, their stuff is incredible. You can always DM me if you have questions about it, but I am obsessed. Again, that's code TBM25 for 25% off at checkout.
All right, on to the episode.
Welcome back, Alix Traeger, to have you on the podcast. It's been a few years. If you guys haven't listened to her first process episode where honestly, your process episode, I think it's going to get me emotional, but like really gave so many people permission to embrace their sexuality in a real way. We got so many messages after. It was like, oh my gosh, that was the missing piece. That was the thing I wasn't seeing. I didn't realize. I've always been in love with women, or I've always been in love with men. You know what I mean? Like, or I identify as queer, or whatever it is. That came out after so much from your episode. So just thank you for sharing that.
Of course. And it's funny because that isn't, at least not what I remember us going into the episode, like thinking what it was going to be. Like we were just going to chat because aside from all of that and coming out, I was just such a big avid TBMer. So it's so cool. And I want to just, before I forget, say a little story because I have been going through it. We'll get into that. And there was a point a couple months ago where I was like really struggling and just faced with a lot of like, what am I doing? I'm failing on all levels, as we do. Mm-hmm. And I was listening to the TBM podcast and it was in perfect timing, which I listen to every week. I don't miss an episode, but in perfect timing, it was like a compilation episode kind of recently. And a caller came on and was telling their process and their little story and saying like, wow, there was one episode you had where someone came on and said, and inspired me to come out. And that's what was the missing piece. And it was like, oh my God. Because she I don't remember what the quote was, but she said a quote and I was like, that was me. That was my episode. And it was just a confirmation of like, you're okay. Even in the small ways, you can have wins for people. And that's where at least Zoya, my partner, and I always go back to is like, yes, maybe we're not the biggest and maybe it's not the flashiest, but like, where are we having value and impact? You never know how you're changing someone's life, even if it's just one person. And so always kind of reminding yourself of that. But like the universe will always throw you a little carrot if you need it.
I love that. I remember that. It was we'll have to link it. It was like one of our expansion episodes. They were manifesting a partner and then realized it wasn't working in one way because actually they needed to come out. And I think that exactly what you speak to, every single thing that you do that's from a place of alignment and share from a place of alignment, it doesn't matter if it happened 10 years ago or it happened today, it's going to impact someone in a positive light. So even though we recorded that episode so long ago, it is literally changing someone's life today. That's one thing I've noticed, like as a younger person, as a kid, I'm curious your thoughts of this too, but like you see success and fame and monetary success in this very flashy, oh, wow, you're the celebrity or the person at the time. And as I've had so much proximity to like people who are in extreme fame in a lot of different ways, it doesn't really look like that. In actuality, it does feel a bit siloed and it feels a little bit different. And I think actually the real win is those moments, is the collection of the, wow, I impacted this person this way and this way and this way and this way. But it's like such a mind toss from what we're programmed to think it is all supposed to look like.
Absolutely. And we're confronted with that a lot just because I'm mostly in the realm of making cooking videos. So like, how much are you impacting in that way? Like, what are you really doing? But through my cooking videos, I've always made it a point. I want to tell a story. I want to change someone's life. I want to add value beyond just like sharing a recipe. And sometimes I think about it because if I just stick to sharing a recipe, my numbers will probably go way up. They'll be higher. It will just be stronger because the engagement for that type of content is just stronger. But it's almost like I'm not selling out in that way because, yeah, of course, that's someone else's purpose and what lights them up, but it's not for me. And so I can't get blinded by the numbers because I have to stay in that realm of like, where am I lit up and where am I adding value for someone? And that is a smaller community. And I have to be okay with that. But you know what? I have been in many rooms, many of cooking or food festivals in which I'm standing next to someone who has massive reach, massive reach. Yet Zoya and I have people coming up to us crying, having these conversations of like, you have changed my life in this way. And it doesn't matter at the end of the day because you're like, wow, that is what it's about. So always honing in on like what that drive is, because I have seen it in my own life of like, if that drive is something else, it will always be an empty road because you're never going to fulfill it. It's all about perspective. Like someone will look at me and be like, oh my God, you're so successful. But at this level, I look at someone else and I'm like, oh my God, that's what I want. I want the like millions of followers. It's all about perspective. So like being very okay with where you are and happy with where you are, no matter if you still have goals, you know?
I think that's so important. And I think, there's a lot of content creators or people that are posting things on social media too within our community in so many different fields, in art, in acting, in home design, like anything. We have so many different people in that realm. And I think that's an interesting mirror of sorts too, where it's like, okay, if I post the thing that feels really authentic, but it doesn't get a lot of likes, you have to go down both roads of the version of the test. Is it a test that, okay, well, my authentic self just isn't good enough, so I should stop doing it? Or is the test that, wow, okay, my authentic self, I'm not going to compromise it because I know that this is actually the thing that's going to fulfill me long-term. And I'm going to keep doubling down on my authentic code. And eventually I know those numbers will reflect the people that it's impacting.
Absolutely. Or it will take you somewhere, like, always staying open to those possibilities. I have always been a very non-direct manifester. I like to say I'm a leaf in the wind. I like to live my life being surprised. And there's so many ways that happens, like even back to my engagement, getting engaged. I was so shocked and surprised because I'm not very I want to be inquisitive and figure out what's going on. I'm just very open, which serves me well, I think. And staying open to the possibilities. And if we're talking about the creator thing, I believe that the creator industry is a gift from the universe. It is something that has allowed people to step out of the corporate societal model, give people freedom, give people income, be able to express their joy and their fears and their hobbies and passions. And the beauty of it, although not everybody believes this, is that anybody can do it. And where people never had a shot or where people never had a chance, they now have a chance. It's in their hand, their phone. I always like to tell people, because I feel like it's really expansive, me, even at my level, which I've been doing this for 10 years, I still set up my phone in my kitchen, prop it up, sometimes on a tripod, but mostly on a water bottle, and just start filming. And yes, sometimes things don't do well, but in my creator mindset at this point, I know, or at least I always have to remind myself that it's not personal. There's so many factors like the algorithm, or maybe what you made just wasn't that good. But if you keep on posting and keep on doing it, you'll find your voice and eventually something will hit. And then you'll be like, oh my God, really cool. I want to do that again. And then you kind of find your voice and you find your niche and you kind of find your path. It takes a lot of showing up consistently and believing in yourself and the confidence to do that. But it's just such an amazing thing that we have been given. And so I really love also reinforcing and expanding for people that they can do it too. And again, it's not showing up and being like, this is what I want it to be, because maybe you don't take off as a massive creator, but maybe it's what gets you seen by, that next job. For me, I was starting a food blog back after college. I didn't know where I wanted to be. I wanted to be in food, but I was a mess. And I was like, I cannot be in a restaurant kitchen. I'll spill and break things, and it's just too much pressure for me. It's not my kind of thing. And digital food media didn't exist. It didn't even exist in this time, which ages me. But that's also kind of interesting because I look back and I'm like, I still had a belief that something would happen even though the industry didn't even exist. And then, so I moved to Sweden. I gave myself a gap year. I was like, I'm going to get this to take off within this year. The food blogging, I wasn't very good at it. and the food blogging wasn't the thing, but you know what it was? It was what I showed to Tasty almost a year exactly. And that's what gave me the job to start making cooking videos, even though I had never made a cooking video in my life. You know, it's like, you don't know what the path really is. You just have to take the step forward. I've been really into the new beliefs reinforcing DI. And I love when Lacey says, take one small step forward and then the next one tomorrow. And eventually like you'll be living, I'm butchering that. It's something like that. But
no, that's exactly it. It's like take one small step today and another tomorrow, and then you will be in your new reality.
Yes.
That's kind of how it works. Everyone thinks it's this big leap or this big moment, and it's a bunch of little steps. It's a bunch of like, I'm just going to show up. I'm going to show up again. I'm going to show up again. And then all of a sudden you're like, wait, this is actually working.
Yeah, absolutely. And wherever I can tell people just like do TBM, or like, even if they're not going to do it, but like giving them the words to like expand what they're falling back into and giving power. You know, I understand now like the vortex thing, you know, what Abraham Hicks was like, okay, stay in the vortex. And it's like, okay, what does that mean? And it doesn't work when you're only just doing that. But I understand it in a way because it's almost like stay in the magic of life. Stay in that the universe is on your side and there to help you, but you need to call on it. And we as humans, no matter how deep you are in the work, tend to just forget this exists and that this is real, even though it feels so make-believe, but that when you are struggling, and you kind of are like, okay, well, I'm back in reality. I'm back in like logic and thinking my way out of things. Yes, that could work for you sometimes, and it will, but like, it's always more of a struggle and a stress. Reminding yourself, there's this other way. And so that's what, to me, staying in that vortex means. Even when I struggle, okay, I know it sounds like I want to think my way out of this or like do X, Y, and Z, but instead, can I just do a little DI? Can I maybe say, hey, universe, throw me a bone or like help me out, or where do I go from here? Can I just tap in and quiet the noise and slow down and do the things that I'm avoiding doing? And that is the way out. That is the much nicer way out. And so remembering that, and I think that's why doing the work consistently helps, because again, you want that to be your first reflex.
I think that is so huge. And that's such a theme that's even been coming up for me personally, but I think I've just seen it collectively so much of like, when we have those panic moments, it's building the muscle that there's something more than what meets the eye right in front of us. There's something more than us versus the problem. And now it's hard. And now what am I going to do? Because if you go down that rabbit hole, it's all your programming. It's all your fear-based assumptions and the way that you've operated in the past. But if you can just have that quick pause and be like, wait a second, there could be another way I'm seeing this. There could be another way out. There could be another possibility here. Let me tap in. Let me tap in with my heart. Let me calm my nervous system. Let me reconnect back to that connection to source and allow a deeper truth to come in here. Because whenever we're faced with that thing, we want to fix, we want to control, we want it over. But actually, is it that breadcrumb that's going to reconnect us on a path that we don't even know that we need going forward?
Absolutely. And even when you logically think about it, like let's apply some logic. You can't say this works, this is real for some things and then not everything. Okay, yeah, even if it's really annoying that there's a lesson here for this thing that I'm like, oh, but logically I know why this happened. But no, maybe the only logical answer is that there is a lesson here because it has to be. That's like the rule. Again, it can be like frustrating and like, but it also is so powerful because you're like, okay, well, I guess I can just accept it and then go with it and learn from it.
I want to do a little before and after of like where you've gone since the last recording, because I feel like you've had a massive up level in so many aspects of your life. But before we dive into that, I am curious what those challenges are that you're coming across right now, because you're in the middle of another up level too.
Yeah.
So what is
Sometimes
coming
it doesn't
up?
feel that way, but yeah.
She says this as she has her first ever cookbook coming out very freaking soon.
Woo,
Like,
there it is.
So cool.
I sent
My
it over
first
to Jess so
cookbook.
she could dive in before this too.
It's my first cookbook in the new house.
Oh
I'm like,
my
yes,
God, you
we have a
have to use
cookbook.
it.
So
Wait, that's
excited.
amazing. Well, good first cookbook.
Yes. But I'm so curious because you are such a infectious, bubbly energy. You bring this to your videos, you bring this to how you show up online. Whenever we've interacted, like you just have this aura about you of fun and play and color and excitement and all these things. So I think it's always so fascinating when those types of people are like, yeah, hard things going through. So what is that looking like for you? Because I think so many people are in this period of they may be manifesting these big giant things, these goals that they've had forever, and they're also going through it. What is that
Yes.
process looking like?
Yes. Oh my gosh, there's so much with it. I mean, so yes, I have been making cooking videos for almost a decade at this point, and I'm very comfortable in that zone. I can make a video almost in my sleep. It is second nature to me at this point, which is amazing. But I always have known like I wanted to do more and do different things and expand out of that. And it's taken me a long time to get there, like probably longer than most people, because I didn't ever want to make a cookbook unless I could really, like you said, like infuse my exact energy into it and make sure it's a accurate representation of me. I'm able to do that so easily through my videos because I'm just showing up as me. But I was like, how do we even accomplish that through a book? So that was a challenge in and of itself. When I left Tasty, I had offers to do a cookbook and I turned them down because I just wasn't ready. So it took me years, in fact, 2 years after that to finally get started. And then it's 3 years from there, from start to finish. So it's a really long process, and I didn't use a co-author. I wrote it myself, and I put so much of myself into it, not only just those years, but all of the time, the effort. I really wanted it to be impactful for people beyond just, that's why we're sitting here talking. You know, I want everything I do to like be infused with some sort of like wisdom or value beyond just the delicious recipes or the fun pictures. So that's why it took me so long, but it's really interesting because I kind of, now that it's time to sell the cookbook and now that it's time to finally get it out into the world, once you start selling it, it's 6 months before it actually comes out. So I have to talk about this and beat the dead horse, which is also another uncomfortable thing. But it takes so much of you, and it already has taken so much of me. And so now it's like, okay, but now is really time to show up. And that's really scary. So how I kind of describe it and how I think about it now is like, okay, so when you're single and you're doing so much work on yourself because you're like, okay, I'm single. Maybe you've had like a spiritual awakening and you're ready to go. And you're like, wow, I am healed. I'm enlightened. I'm perfect. And then your partner comes in and you're like, oh my God, I'm faced with all my shit after maybe the honeymoon stage. It's a lot like that. It's a very exposing, vulnerable moment because I'm so far out of my comfort zone and the mirrors are held up. I have now looked back in this exact time where I'm like now putting it out into the world and you're like, okay, now I'm going to get people's opinions. Now I'm going to see numbers of sales. Now I'm going to be going out on a cookbook tour, having to sell tickets. It's all of these things that I'm like, okay, where I was so comfortable making videos and have been doing that for almost a decade and know how to do it in my sleep. I know if something doesn't do well, I can just take it down. It's like very personal and close to my chest. I have my numbers on my Instagram or TikTok. This is so many eyes, not only the public's eyes, but people who have worked on the book with me, publishers, editors. They're depending on the success of the book. I'm depending on the success of the book. And so it feels like very exposing like that. And so I have really heavily depended on regulating my nervous system because oftentimes it just makes me like, if I think about that and I'm not doing that regulation, then I'm just like overwhelmed and all I want to do is crawl into bed and be like, I can't do this. Like, this is not for me. But you can't do that because you've gotten to this point. You've gotten so far. You have to show up. This is the time to show up. So it's been so interesting. And it's kind of like separating yourself from all of that and being like, no, I am so proud of what I've created. And I have put so much heart and soul into it, and I have to trust it is what it is meant to be, and it will hit someone, whoever it's meant for. And the lessons I'm taking out of this are, like we said, even though I don't want this to be a lesson, maybe it is the lesson that this is what it's meant to be. So it's just so much. It's hard, but you have to also think, like, regardless of the success of the thing you've created, you have to be able to be proud of it. It has to be separate from the outcome.
1,000%. A launch of any kind, at any company, at any brand, any individual. I mean, even just posting one piece of content, right? On a small scale to a big scale, like launching a cookbook for the first time. And I've seen a lot of authors come through, and it's so interesting to hear their mindset around their launch and what they're going through. And there always is some sort of internal metamorphosis that's happening around the launch, because it feels like one of the more direct ways of like, this is out there, do you like it? And really what the fear is, do you like me? And me is my work, as my words, as who I am as an individual, worth purchasing and paying for this book, right?
Yes.
And we know it's not correlated at all. Yeah. And everyone's worth is so inherent and they're so valuable, and it's not a reflection of that, but it makes so much sense why we immediately are like, but am I good enough to be here?
Absolutely.
It's like asking again for that permission to step into your fullness.
Yeah, definitely. And it's no secret, even to myself, this is some of the most work I do on myself. I definitely conflate my worth with my level of success. It feels nearly impossible at this point. Again, like making videos for 10 plus years, it's a numbers game. That is the measure of success. So sometimes it's like, well, yeah, as annoying as it is, that is the measure of success. And it's also public, which is like so horrifying sometimes, because it didn't used to be. People didn't know how much viewership, unless you, I guess, really looked into it, how much viewership something got. It was like, okay, the show goes up, whatever. Like, it's a TV show. No one really knows. And I think that's just a symptom, like where I say the creator industry is so magical, so beautiful, a gift from the universe. It also is really hard because it's a symptom of the whole industry of like, okay, you are in a comparisons game. So always going back to like, okay, well, as much as I do conflate my worth with this, how do I separate it? And I don't even have the answer yet, because I don't know if I'll ever get that answer. I can remind myself that it's not connected, but it's difficult. That is some of the hardest work. And, I think any creator can relate to that.
It sounds like that is what this is really the year of stripping in so many ways. It sounds like that's what your stripping lesson is. The success will come when you don't connect your worth to it. And you've already had so much success. And you're going to continue to have so much success. Yeah. Like literally the sky's the limit. But as you grow, can you separate? It's almost like, can you enjoy the process more? Because you're not connected to that need for that to validate your level of success with your worth. If you can just even a little bit, I love how you said, I don't know if I'll ever be able to fully pull it apart. I don't even think the goal should be to fully pull it apart. It's just to get to another level with it, another level of detachment, another level of self-worth, another level of integration. And that's where all the beautiful manifestations come. It's just the next level to the next to the next. I think about like our stripping DI. You basically pull away. I am not my career. I am not my finances. I am not how people see me. I'm not even my relationships. I'm just an orb of energy. Like, what do I feel like here? It is so deeply uncomfortable for so many people. But in that, you get a taste of like, oh, I'm me. I remember when I did it, I was like, I'm just so curious and like interested. I had so much energy and I was like, ooh, what's this over here? That doesn't change whether I'm hosting a podcast or working in a nursing home or planting in a garden. Look, whatever my vocation is, that energy would be the same. And so it's so helpful, I think, if people can go back. Highly recommend that strip DI for anyone who resonates with this. But like seeing like, wow, my value is just me, is my energy. I think about that for social too. Like when you're like, oh, people follow me for cooking videos, the value I'm giving, the value is your energy. People want to be around how you see the world, the stories you share, the things that you infuse with your heart. That's what they're there for. So it's so interesting when people are like, oh, it has to be these very buttoned up things. It's like, yes, those are the vehicles through which you're sharing your energy, because those are the things that light you up. But the actual thing that no one can really name or put a finger on or explain why is the energy behind it.
100%. And that much I do know. Like, that's why I have been blessed enough. I'm just someone who doesn't like to be like boxed in. I never have been, like, not in any kind of label, even just like queerness. Like, I just am very much like, I want to live outside the lines. And so it's hard in the creator industry when a lot of it is like niche down and pick your niche and that's how you grow. And yes, that can be true. But like, I want to be nicheless. I want to be me. I want to do everything I want to do. And I have definitely honed in on the fact that it is the energy you bring. That is your magic, and it's showing up and doing everything in that. For me, at least, it's a very bubbly, like messy, chaotic, fun way. And so I have been super lucky in that I've been able to go beyond cooking and food, where like a lot of my cooking creator friends are like, oh, I wish I could, do something else. But like, when they do, it tanks. But I've been able to like cross those boundaries and do a lot more because I recognize at least where that value is. And so like, okay, whatever I make, whatever I do, I know I need to bring that same energy and that bubbly life, whether it's in this cookbook, which like I wanted to put so much color and messiness and all that fun, or if it's, a cooking video, or if it's me painting my house.
I love the series of you painting your bedroom was amazing.
How fun was it? And also, I just want to say, like, that also is really interesting because that idea spurred out of like the fires, which is kind of interesting. We own a house in the hills, which is another manifestation story we have to get into.
I was going to say, last time you had just manifested your condo.
Yes.
Now you have manifested an entire home.
Yes.
You're engaged.
Crazy.
You have a cookbook.
Oh my gosh.
Your success, your events you're going to, all the like dinners and this and that, White Lotus, you have been killing it. Things have just skyrocketed. So I want to dive into how you got from where we were last time we talked to there as well.
Definitely. Yeah, there's so much. And I think what we were just saying too, really taking a beat to recognize the success, pat yourself on the back is so huge. I think a lot of us can relate to like just moving forward and being like, okay, next thing. It's all perspective, right? Like, whereas I still feel like I'm not where I want to be, like someone else would be like, you've made it. And so then I'm like, why do I feel like I'm not where I want to be? Like, that's actually so not true. In fact, I am right where I'm supposed to be, and I'm right where I dreamed of being. So like, slow down and really take a beat to let that sink in. But yeah, after the fires, we have a house that got really close to like burning down, which was so scary. And obviously our hearts go out to everyone who was affected in the LA fires. But it was so weird because my response after that was coming back to our house and being like, if I were to lose this house, I would want to know that it was my dream house and I put every ounce of love into it possible. I don't want to live anywhere without it being like mine and fully mine, and being like how touching it is to lose something like you care so much about. And I don't know if that's like a weird thought. It was a weird response, but I was like, I'm painting the walls. And painting the walls was such a healing experience. I don't even know. I'm not a DIYer, but I got really into it and I learned how to like Roman clay my walls.
Wow.
And it was so healing because it unlocked this different part of my brain. Whereas like I'm so chronically online and in my phone and like, what's my next piece of content? How am I going to create? Like, how am I going to break the numbers game? Like, how am I going to grow? I'm just going to paint my wall. And it was so healing. I was just like listening to music. I was totally off my phone for days. It exercised a different creative outlet and then unlocked parts of myself. I get what this is all about. I get what the purpose is of life. Very like beyond just painting a wall. So I really recommend anyone paint their wall or try a new hobby or get creative in that way.
I love that. And I actually had a similar moment this morning because so much, I have this horrible habit right now that I'm really trying to break of going right into my Slack and going right into my emails and my messages. And I am like, no, Jess, we need to like make space for the openness, make space. I've gotten so far as to like take like a 30-second pause where I'll be like, okay, universe, infuse me with love. And then I'll check my Slack.
Well, that's your small step. You did your small step.
Yeah.
30 seconds.
I'm really working on it. And so this morning I was like, one of our meetings got moved and I was like, you know what? I'm just going to sit outside. And I brought a journal and my little lemon water. I'm like, okay, I'm just going to sit. I'm going to enjoy our view. I'm so happy to be here. I'm so grateful. And then I got pulled into my phone. And then all of a sudden this hummingbird came up and started dancing in front of me. Like I didn't even realize they did this, but they were like going like back and forth and back and forth. And then it came like right up to my face. And I swear it was like my spirit guides being like, get the fuck off your phone.
Absolutely.
And like, look up. This is the life. This is not the life. This is the life. And I was like, okay, got it. And then I looked up and there was all these like giant bumblebees going over into the rosemary bush. And there was this mourning dove like humming in the side. And there was all these birds just like feeding and eating and a squirrel in the distance. And I was like, whoa, as if you were on mushrooms or something. That I was just like, wow, like life is so vivid and beautiful. I feel like we need a lot more of those moments to just like snap us out of this kind of haze that we're all sort of in collectively. You know, it's hard to be so disconnected from tech because it's so ingrained in everything, but it's like, where can you steal back? And that whole sequence was maybe 5-10 minutes. Yeah. But it's like that 5-10 minutes will probably stick with me for 5-10 years. How can you do those things for yourself?
Yeah, I even sometimes catch myself in a DI. I'll be like in a DI and then I'll look down and I'm on Instagram and I'm like, what am I doing? And I'll always hear, you're so distracted. You have so many distractions. I'll hear that all the time and I'll be like, I know, I am the distraction, but it is so interesting. And even like, I'm a big podcast listener, but I've even been trying to challenge myself to go on walks and like just not listen to anything and like listen to the birds and just enjoy. Because also it can be so stimulating. A lot of us, if we're here listening right now, are probably really addicted to doing work on ourselves. And it can also be constant. And I'm listening to podcasts only that I'm like, okay, this is going to help me better myself. But at the end of the day, are you just reinforcing that you're broken? The addiction to just self-help and being better, it's like, yeah, it's beautiful and doing the work on yourself is so important. But then at some point, just turn it off. Go outside and be like, wait, I am healed. It's almost again going back to like, I am the version of success already. I am the healed version. Sometimes you're just like, okay, I am here. I have arrived. It's good to have that mindset of like, I want better. I want more. I want to be more healed. I want more growth. But like at some point you gotta, yeah, exactly. Like you said, also live life.
That's really the balance. Because I think we can go to the work and the inner work, especially in times of challenge, right? There will be no shortage of challenging moments in life. That's just a fact. Like, well, it'll just come. And then you can go to the work and be like, okay, how do I navigate? Remind me, well, who am I? What do I want to do with myself? But I think exactly what you're talking about, it's like that addiction to, I was laid in bed sick yesterday, like getting over a little stomach bug, binging self-help and like creator and business and Diary of a CEO. And I was like, yes, I can get better at this and better. Yeah. I'll learn a new skill while I'm sick. And I was like, let's just take a break. Just like, we don't need to learn our better communication skills while we're resting in bed. Why don't we just rest in bed?
Yes.
But it can be so enticing because you know what it is? It gives you a sense of control.
There you go. We're just so addicted to control. It's so interesting in every facet. You go back to that.
Speaking of manifestations, one major manifestation that has come through for me recently is Bond Charge's infrared PEMF mat. Their PEMF mat, which stands for Pulse Electromagnetic Field, is a magnetic energy mat that sends energy waves to work with your body's natural magnetic field and improve your overall well-being. Now, I originally heard of PEMF mats back in the day. I used the first one at Lacey's Forest Retreat House, and I kind of didn't really think it was going to do anything at first. And when I laid on this mat, I'm telling you, my whole body just relaxed. My nervous system relaxed, and I fully was able to calm down. Fast forward a few years later, one of our absolute favorite companies, Bon Charge, has launched their own PEMF mat, and it is fully loaded with all the best biohacking techniques you can imagine. So not only do they have multiple frequency settings, one for delta waves to improve deep sleep, one for grounding and earthing that is in the frequency of Schumann's resonance, which is the Earth's magnetic field frequency, one for alpha waves to increase calm creativity, one for beta waves for logical thinking, conscious thought, or meditation, and one that cycles through all four to really align all different parts of your body. But that's not all. They also have red, near infrared, and far infrared light wave frequencies. You've heard me talk about this before, but red light therapy can be so impactful for muscle soreness, tension, pain in the body, detoxification, and so many more things. It is also packed with tourmaline gemstones, germanium gemstones, and amethyst crystals, which all help to balance your mood, keep you calm, activate spiritual awareness, open intuition, and attract positive ions from your body to keep you in that balanced state. And really exciting news from Bon Charge that all of their products, if you have an HSA or an FSA account, they're all eligible, giving you tax-free savings up to 40% on any product you buy from Bon Charge. This is huge. And it's also really cool that they're getting recognized for how much these biohacking products are impacting your health in such a meaningful way. So if you are interested in trying Bon Charge's new infrared PEMF mat, you can use the code MAGNETIC, that's all caps, MAGNETIC for 15% off. Again, that's magnetic, MAGNETIC for 15% off. Or you can go to boncharge.com/pages/magnetic and check out some of the other incredible biohacking low EMF products that Bon Charge has to offer.
Well, okay, I have to tell the story of this condo. Last time we talked, I was in this condo that I had flipped. So I'm not sure how far I got into it, but I was very inspired by Lacey's property journey and being like, okay, I'm really interested. I love, just as you do, like home and curating spaces and feeling really in love with your home. And when I was looking to buy my first property, I couldn't quite afford a house at the time. I was purchasing a property alone, even though I was with Zoya already, but I was looking for a house and I saw this listing pop up online and it didn't have any pictures, but it was listed and it was a pretty good price. So I was like, okay. I called up our real estate agent, who happens to just be a friend, Alexia, and I was like, hey, it's a Sunday. Can we go see this house? It has no pictures. She was like, sure. So we get in the car and drive over. And when I tell you we drove up to this house, it was boarded up. It was falling apart. I was like, whatever open house is in there right now, I don't want to see it. It was like almost scary. So we left. And then I ended up purchasing a condo that was a flip. And I flipped that, which actually ended up being so much fun. I got to really put myself into it and learn a new skill, meaning like flipping a home, design, and what really that entails. So we lived inside of that condo for about a year, which we loved. And it was so interesting because I got the ping to look at Zillow again. And I was not looking to buy another property. I didn't even know that I could, but I got the ping and I saw this amazing listing pop up for a home. And when I crunched the numbers, because it had an ADU attachment, which could be rented out. And at that time, Zoya and I were even stronger together. And we were like, okay, like we could potentially buy something together. We plan on being together forever. So then I was like, okay, it was a Sunday. So I called up Alexia, our same real estate agent, and they said, hey, do you want to go see this house? I don't even know what it is, but it looks really beautiful. So she was like, sure. And we drove up to the house. And when we turn onto the street, Alexia goes, do you remember when we saw that house on here? And as we drive closer to the house, we realized it is the exact same house that we had
Oh
seen
my gosh.
2 years prior. And it was bought by a developer and it was flipped, which was amazing because I wouldn't have even been able, it was too big of a project for me to handle. A house in the hills, like to flip like that. I wouldn't have, it would have been over my head. But it was our house. It was our house. And we drove right up and I was like, oh my God, I had no idea because I didn't remember the address of that house. But by that time, once they were ready to sell it, we were in a position where we had like saved money again and we were going to go on it together. And it was so funny because like we would be in the condo and as much as I loved it, I'd be like, God, I just really want a house. Like I would love some space. We had a dog. I would love a yard, no matter how small. And so when I got that ping, again, I wasn't looking to buy, but like it all clicked. And I was like, it's almost like so magical to a way like, whoa, where did this money even come from in my bank account? I didn't know that it was like possible. It was so magical. And even walking around the house, it was our house. It was almost built for us in the fact that like the kitchen was open, something we could shoot in. Even like the cabinets, the kitchen is both black and oak, which Zoya and I always call ourselves yin and yang because she's very like dark and moody and wears black and I'm like light and bubbly and the oak like matched my hair. I don't know. It's so funny. So that was just such a wild manifestation. It was almost like the universe brought us there to see it and be like, this is yours, but you don't know it yet. And so magical, so validating.
I love that. I love manifestation stories like that because that is like you are always being guided. You're always being guided. The work is really in trusting your gut and moving through that and having so much expansion. I almost feel like you buying the house initially, like going to see it and it wasn't at the level you were like, I can't do this. That entire story from buying the condo and everything, that was your bridge. It expanded you that you could renovate on a level that felt comfortable to you, what it felt like to actually own, and then moving into, okay, now the home is ready for you. That mutual exchange, I think, is so beautiful.
Yeah. And you know, what's funny is that I almost like had to come up with another word for the energetic of this because buying that condo could be seen as settling, but it wasn't because I was able to buy that condo and flip it, and then I was able to keep that condo, and I now have renters in that. So now it's a bit of, however small, disposable income that only expands me in like what could be the future. And so it's not exactly like a bridge manifestation. It's not settling. It's like the opposite of a shiny carrot. So I was like, okay, this is like a buried treasure or like diamond in the rough. It's something that could have looked like a settling, but because I was able to infuse love into it, it's a beautiful condo. And it ended up being someone else's dream home. And how lucky am I that I got to create that for them? I always think how nice that is of a thought. But then also that this has turned into something that is such a benefit to me and like my future. So it's like a diamond in the rough, something that we've manifested and created. And yeah, it wasn't my end goal for as long as I thought it would be, but now it's offered me so much more than I even knew it would.
What were some of the deciding factors when you were going through and kind of sussing out whether this was a bridge or a test? Were you considering like, okay, this is not a test because XYZ thing feels aligned?
Yeah, because you know, it's a flip. So you're walking into something and you're like, oh, like it wasn't cute. In fact, because it was like sitting empty, there was the most massive pile of dead cockroaches you've ever seen under their like bathroom. It was really, really shocking, in fact. And I was like, what did I buy? Like, what happened? But they assured me, no, it's okay. Like, this is just because these pipes have been sitting open. I was like, oh my God, is this like infested with cockroaches? They're like, no. But I had vision the second I walked into the space because you have to look for the bones. It had amazing light. It had floor to ceiling windows and a balcony. It had really a lot of space. It had, okay, a galley kitchen, but I knew I could, or I thought I could at least like open up that wall and make the open kitchen that I dreamed of. And so sometimes it's like having that vision and knowing what to look for. Like at least I had some people telling me what is good bones and what to look for. And then it ended up being our dream condo. And definitely in the flip, I probably put more into it than I would have if I had known it was a flip. You know, I probably wouldn't have put in those like Taj Mahal countertops, but you know what? I love it, and it's beautiful. And again, it got rented like that because I do believe like I put so much love into it and care. And I do think that with, at least I've seen in my life, with home stuff, the more love you put into your home, no matter where you are, that comes back tenfold every single time.
Yeah. I think that's so interesting too. And one other thing I just want to say, because we get a lot of question on bridges versus tests. Tests are usually having you repeat a similar toxic pattern again, whereas bridges they're expanding you in some way. Some aspect of it feels aligned or exciting to you. It may not be the full 100% vision, but it is a jump in a positive direction from where you've been at. And you can be in bridges for like a long time and they can be amazing. They can be really fun and exciting and fulfilling in a lot of ways. So just a quick tip for anyone out there too.
Love it.
You've heard us talk about our Pathway membership, but what actually is it? It is an all-access membership where you can get every single workshop that we've ever created, all of our deep imaginings, which are our reprogramming audios, to help you manifest. You can access it on the desktop or in the TBM app on your phone directly. We, of course, have our foundational workshops, such as our How to Manifest workshop, which takes you step by step through this neural manifestation process to actually unblock, expand, and take aligned action to connect with your manifestations. Our How to Be Magnetic workshop, our Inner Child and Shadow workshops. And then, of course, we have a workshop if you are in a rut, if you're in a rock bottom, if you're in an up level, perhaps you need to set boundaries. Maybe you want to focus specifically on the block of money or love. It is all in there. And then twice a year as a community, we gather for our challenges. Our challenges are one of the most effective parts of the process because you get accountability. It is really a handheld experience in how to work through whatever the theme of that year's challenge is. And now to my absolute favorite part of our membership, which I think in and of itself would be worth the entire weight of the membership if we just had this alone, our Deep Imagining library. This library encompasses over 60 neural reprogramming audio tracks. They're self-hypnosis tracks that will really support you in any step of this journey. If you're needing calming, nervous system regulation, unblocking with a specific test or trigger, going through a difficult time, processing a big emotion, or maybe you just want reinforcing, how to reinforce those neural pathways of confidence, abundance, self-worth, deservingness, and connection with your dream life. And not only that, if you go to the app, we just launched Deep Imagining playlists where we're grouping different themes of DIs together. So no matter what you're going through, you have something for you. And we're constantly dropping new playlists as well as brand new Deep Imaginings. And if you need more support in your process, you can go to our brand new video series, Channelings with Lacey, where she touches on the exact energetics that are going on right now in manifestation and how it may apply to your life. So obviously, I am a huge fan of this membership. The peace of mind I get from being able to have all the tools I need at my disposal, no matter where I'm at with my life, if shit's hitting the fan, if I'm feeling dysregulated, if I'm needing to come back to my center, if I'm needing to brainstorm or daydream or connect with what my vision for my future is, every single tool is in there to support me. And don't just take my word for it. We have thousands of testimonials of people who have had incredible success stories with these tools. So take the guesswork out of your manifestation process and get real tools that are going to give you real results. For podcast listeners only, you can use code EXPANDED, all caps EXPANDED, for 20% off your first month of the pathway. Join now and have your best year yet. And how did the cookbook manifestation come through?
Oh, I mean, that, again, like we've said, is a whole big journey. But I had the idea, in fact, for my cookbook when I left Tasty, which was 6 years ago. And it wasn't flowing like I wanted it to. I felt like I just wasn't ready. I was still in building mode with video. I had just left Tasty. I was still trying to develop my voice beyond that and like find my footing. And so I just wasn't ready. I wanted to dive into video more. And what was interesting is that when it did fall into place, which ended up being 3 years later, which seems like a long time, but like it happened with so much ease. again, kind of like how the house happened. It happened with so much ease. So I know that that's what I try to look for. And even when I want to force something and push something, sometimes you have to fall back into like, okay, I know this will happen for me in time. Of course, taking aligned action, but then, knowing that you're trusting the timing. And I think the timing is so right, even though sometimes I'm like, okay, like I can look back and regret that I didn't do it then, where I had so much momentum after leaving Tasty. I didn't have the depth and kind of the scope of my message like I do now that I was able to infuse in the pages. And so I do write this in the book of that, like, okay, yeah, I'm showing up now, which might be a little bit late, but it's with every piece of purpose and my message and all of me that I can give to this, which is why I'm also able to be so proud of it. But the original book that I had thought of was, when I left Tasty, the idea was called Hot Mess. And so it was very much like, if you know my cooking videos, I kind of show up chaotic, I'm messy, I spill. It's very much a part of me. It's very authentic. Some people wonder if I spill on purpose. No, I'm just that clumsy. But I think it kind of goes back to the duality of everything. Yeah, there's a negative aspect of like being chaotic and messy, but there's also a positive of it. And like, where am I able to draw the message and the meaning out of it? It's like, show up no matter what. Make your mistakes. In the kitchen, if you build those tools, if you allow yourself to have the confidence to show up every day, to make the mistakes and learn, you will become a better cook. And that will apply to your life. You will learn those skills in the kitchen, and you will learn how to do that in your life. And I believe that. So that is really the message of the book. But so I called it Hot Mess. And so I was writing it. And of course, as you know now, it takes a long time to write a cookbook. There's a lot of people involved. It's a hefty production because there's so much that goes into it: design, photography, over 100 recipes. So It's a big production. But I was like 2 years into it. The book was sold. I was writing it. In fact, like we were pretty much done with the book. And then this massive influencer named Alix Earle, who has my same first name, Alix, came out with her podcast and brand called Hot Mess. And you almost think like, this is comical. What are the chances that two blonde, and our name is not really that common, Alix, like two blonde, messy, chaotic influencers come out with a hot mess brand. So I had a bit of a freak out. Oh my God, I have to change the book. Can I even change the book? Is it too late? But like, you're just thinking of like the SEO nightmare of being like, someone types in Hot Mess Alix, and then it's like, I would be buried. So I took a day to freak out, regulated a bit. And then I was like, you know what? This is going to be a blessing. This is how it is. This is going to be a blessing. And maybe, in fact, what I came to terms with was that like Hot Mess was the identity of someone I was at Tasty, and I'm okay to let that go and move on and move forward. And I literally just took a day to brainstorm potential titles. And when I hit scratch that, I was like, oh my God, like scratch that. So cooking from scratch or semi-scratch, and the whole premise that if you mess up, just say scratch that and keep going. Keep showing up. It's really not a big deal. I was really shocked when I originally started making videos and was showing my trial and error and messiness in the kitchen. I thought people would just maybe laugh with me, at me. I don't really care. I'm fine to entertain. But I did not anticipate so many thousands of people messaging me and say, oh my God, this is the first time we have seen someone like us in the kitchen, making mistakes and showing up and failing, but then not giving up and getting to that end result. And you get to learn along the way, like from the mistakes, because there's a lot to learn in cooking from those mistakes. So I was like, oh my God, that's so interesting. I didn't even intend for that to be my message, but it just evolved in time. And so with Scratch That, it's very much, how do we keep that mindset of being like, okay, I'm going to show up and I'm going to fail. I'm going to learn and I'm going to come out the other side and have that disposition of like, it's okay to fail. It's okay. And that's why I say that when you build those tools in the kitchen, it really, really applies to your life because it does. You know, you build that mindset, just like when you build that mindset doing DIs and you have that be your first reflex. When you build those tools in the kitchen, it will be your first reflex that like, okay, it's okay. So that's why it is a cookbook. There are recipes inside of it, but I always tell people like whether or not you cook, you can get something from this cookbook. It can collect dust on the wall. You can read it front to back. You can look at the pretty pictures. You can cook with it, spill on it. But, I really just hope you derive that message out of it. That's also why the tagline is embrace the mess, cook to impress, because there is magic in the mess.
I actually feel like Scratch That feels more on the nose for the version of you now and the version you're stepping into versus Hot Mess. Like Hot Mess is a really fun title, but it does feel younger. It Definitely. Feels like a younger energy, whereas Scratch That is like timeless. There doesn't feel like an age connected to it.
Yeah. And that's why it's so important to really just stay open and like trust that there's a reason for the things happening, no matter again how frustrating or annoying they are, and allowing yourself to evolve. I think it's really interesting also when I look at my career, there has been like a lot of years where I felt very uninspired and like I'm again just going through the motions. I know how to do what I've been doing for so long, and there's a lot of fear around stepping into that next phase or that unknown. And sometimes I even think like maybe it's not cooking. I love cooking. It's a huge part of myself. And I love finding my voice and sharing my life through food and cooking, but it's not my only passion. And sometimes I've felt like I've been called to step into that next phase. Not to say that this cookbook is like a closing chapter, because I can't say that, but it's almost like this is the pinnacle of like the career that I have built. And whether or not this cookbook goes in the way that I hope, okay, well, I did it. Like I've done it. And I always think back to like when I was a kid, I used to watch the Food Network and all the TV chefs. And I thought, that's what I want to do. Like that is my dream. And life has evolved in the meantime. And in many ways, I look back and I say, like, I've already done that. I have reached that goal. Yes, life is different now. The means of that is different now because, honestly, I'm not going to shade on the Food Network, but like the numbers of digital are more impressive. So kind of accepting that, realizing, again, going back to like, oh, I have reached that level of success. And understanding that like, okay, it's different than I thought it was going to be as a kid. But like maybe that kid is still saying, well, I'm not going to be successful until I get that Food Network show. But you're like, wait, I already got that Food Network show. So having like the confidence to be like, okay, maybe I'm stepping into my new life. Like maybe there is something else bigger out there for me and like the next journey. And so I find it really interesting. So allowing yourself to evolve. And again, that goes directly into that title.
So exciting. Where can people connect with you, get the cookbook, pre-order? I just have a really good feeling. I feel like also after we talk, you have massive up levels. So I feel like you're up level again. I'm excited to hear next time what you're up to. But where can everyone connect with you and find
I hope. And, I think really the next phase of like my manifestation journey is really just that new chapter and new energy and whatever that may bring. And I hope at the end of the day to just inspire and expand you to be like, this works. And this is what has worked for me. It's been the most effective thing I have found. It is so possible for you. This is the way you can live your life. And I'm still learning how to really have that be my reflex too. But I'm so excited, and I'm so excited to share through this cookbook. And I hope I don't even know if this episode will be out before it's out, but if you pre-order it or if you order it, it's out everywhere. You can find it in the link in my bio, my Instagram, TikTok. I'm Major Traeger or Alix Traeger on all platforms. Also, I'm going to be doing a cookbook tour. So if you want to meet me in person, I'll be in some select locations. I'll be in New York. I'll be in San Francisco and Los Angeles, and you can find those. Some are free events, some are ticketed, but you can find those events. And they're going to be super fun. I didn't want to do a cookbook tour. Again, like I know the energy I want to bring, and I don't want to do like just a stale discussion. I want to have a party. I want to invite you guys to come and hang out and have so much fun. And at the end of the day, I think it's really just about being like that positive representation and being expansive. And so come hang out, come have fun. And I don't know what else to say. Scratch that.
Scratch that. Thank you so much, Alix.
Yes.
So expansive on so many levels, and wishing you all the success with the book.
Yes, thank you, and you as well. And such a big fan. This is truly my favorite podcast. So like, you guys could get 2 listeners and I'd be like, this is my dream to be on this podcast. So it's so fun that I have gotten to check the box of my second time on, and maybe on the 3rd we'll have more to talk about too.
I hope you all enjoyed that episode as much as we did. And if you're starting to get a feel for this to be magnetic manifestation process, but aren't completely sold yet, let me point you to some of our free offerings. You can check out the expanded podcast episode called How to Manifest Anything You Desire, where Lacey, the founder, and I break down exactly what this process is all about. You can check out the Motivation, which is our testimonial library with thousands of testimonials of people who have manifested wild things using this process. Or you can check out our free mini workshop to find out why you're not manifesting, and listen to one of our proprietary deep imagining audios, where it's going to help you drop into your theta state and overwrite low self-worth limiting beliefs. Enjoy. We'll see you next week.